Welcome back to the Silent Emotions After the Farewell. I am Doc Steph, and in this segment, we will talk about the journey of grief. Grief is not a linear path, it is a journey with many twists and turns, highs and lows. It is as unique as the bond we shared with our loved ones and as personal as our individual stories. In the journey of grief, we will explore the different stages of this complex emotion. We will talk about how grief can manifest in various forms and how it evolves over time. It is not just about coping with loss, it is also about understanding the transformative nature of grief and how it reshapes our lives and ourselves. Whether you find yourself in the pits of sorrow or experiencing moments of unexpected peace, this segment aims to provide a space for understanding and connection. Let us start by emphasizing that grief is a multifaceted emotional response to loss, particularly the loss of someone or something to which a deep bond or affection was formed. It is a natural human reaction to loss and can encompass a wide range of feelings, including sadness, anger, guilt, confusion, and longing. Key aspects of grief include 1. Emotional response. Grief is primarily known for its emotional impact. Feelings of deep sorrow, heartache, and longing are common. Grief can also bring feelings of emptiness or numbness, a sense of disbelief or denial, especially in the early stages following the loss. Number 2, physical symptoms. Grief can manifest physically, leading to symptoms like fatigue, insomnia, or oversleeping, changes in appetite, and other stress related physical effects. Number 3, cognitive effects. It can affect our thought processes, causing difficulty in concentrating, decision making, or remembering things. People in grief might find themselves preoccupied with thoughts of the deceased or the circumstances of the loss. Number 4, behavioral changes. Grief can alter behaviors. Some people may withdraw from social interactions while others might seek out more social contact. Changes in daily routines, loss of interest in previously enjoyed activities, or developing new habits are also common. Number 5, spiritual and existential reactions. Grief often prompts us to question our beliefs or understanding of the world. It can lead to a deeper exploration of spiritual and existential questions, or in some cases, a reassessment of our faith and beliefs. And number 6, personal growth. Over time, grief can lead to personal growth. We may develop a deeper appreciation for life, a stronger sense of empathy and compassion, and a new understanding of our own resilience and coping abilities. It is important to note that grief is highly individualistic. No two people experience it in exactly the same way. It can vary significantly based on the individual's personality, life experiences, the nature of the loss, and their cultural and social background. Grief does not follow a strict timeline or set of stages. It is a personal process that evolves differently for everyone. Also, it is important to acknowledge that this process is not linear. A path marked by ups and downs, and each person navigates it in their own time and way. What remains constant, however, is the strength and resilience that can emerge from this journey, as well as the profound impact of the love that sparked the grief in the first place. So let's talk about understanding caregivers' grief. The stages of grief, as initially conceptualized by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, include denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. These stages are not direct and can manifest in unique ways, especially for caregivers who have experienced the loss of someone they were looking after. Here's how these stages might uniquely affect caregivers. The first one, denial. For caregivers, denial might manifest as an initial shock or disbelief at the loss of a loved one. They may find it hard to accept the reality that the person they have been caring for is no longer there. Caregivers might also continue to think in terms of the caregiving routine, finding it hard to break from habits formed during the care period. Number two, anger. Anger can be directed towards themselves, the medical system, or even the person who passed away. Caregivers might feel anger over the unfairness of the illness or the burden of caregiving that was placed upon them. They might also experience guilt mixed with this anger, especially if they feel relief after the person's passing. Number three, bargaining. In this stage, caregivers might ruminate on what they could have done differently or better. They might have thoughts like, if only I had noticed the symptoms earlier, or if only I had been a better caregiver. Bargaining can also involve wishing to go back in time to change the outcome despite knowing this is not possible. Number four, depression. Caregivers might experience profound sadness and emptiness, especially because their daily routine and sense of purpose are significantly altered. They might struggle with the loss of identity that was tied to their role as a caregiver and feel a deep sense of isolation. And number five, acceptance. Acceptance for caregivers might involve coming to terms with the reality of their loss and starting to redefine their lives without the caregiving role. It can also mean acknowledging the complexity of their emotions and understand that feeling relief or finding new meaning in life does not diminish the love they had for the person they care for. These stages are not a rigid roadmap, but rather a framework that can help caregivers understand and normalize their experiences of grief. Everyone's journey through these stages is personal and unique, and some individuals might not experience all stages or might experience them in a different order. The key is to allow yourself the space and time to grieve in your own way and to seek support when needed. In my case, though my mother's passing was anticipated due to her illness, the finality of it still came as a shock. The moment I received that phone call from the nursing home, a surreal numbness enveloped me. I remember sitting on the edge of my bed, taking deep, steadying breaths before gathering the courage to conference call my siblings. Voicing the reality of her passing seemed to solidify it, yet I struggled to accept it as truth. Dressing to see her one last time was a blur, marked by a sense of disorientation as each article of clothing was a piece of a puzzle I could not entirely solve. Entering her room, I finally allowed myself to release the pent-up emotions I had stuntly held back, needing to be strong for her in her final days. The drive home was a whirlwind of what ifs. My siblings and I had been cleaning out her residence that day, planning to visit her afterward. but fatigue and pain led us to postpone the visit to the next day. A next day never came. The barrage of would have and could have thoughts was overwhelming, but I reminded myself and my siblings that dwelling on these thoughts wouldn't change what had happened. Depression began to seep into my days following her passing. My mother's reclining chair, now in my bedroom, became my refuge. Days and nights blurred together as I sat there immobilized by grief. My world shrank to the confines of that chair. My sleep pattern disrupted, mirroring the upheaval in my heart. Inspiration to break this cycle came unexpectedly from a Facebook post. A young lady shared her struggle with sleeping in her bedroom after her father's death. The community's suggestions to take gradual steps towards reclaiming her space resonated with me. I started to venture out of my chair, initially forcing myself, and slowly I began to re engage with life beyond my grief. Acceptance of my feelings about my mom's absence took time. I found solace in prayer and in speaking to her in my thoughts, expressing my longing and my love. Adjusting to a life without the constant calls and medical concerns was disorienting. The freedom to live unrestricted, to even contemplate a vacation, felt alien. But it was a project that became a turning point for me. My mom passed 2 days after Thanksgiving, and with Christmas approaching, the first holiday season without her, I decided to create a winter wonderland at home. I thought about how this has been a tough year for my daughter and her 6 children. This project was not just about festive decoration, it was about crafting memories and bringing some joy into our family. As I worked, each moment became a tribute to Mom, to the values and love she instilled in me. During the process, it brought a sense of peace amidst the turmoil, a quiet acknowledgement that her legacy continued through these acts of love. So let's talk about the harmony of healing. You know, during my grieving process, there was a particular song that became a source of immense solace and strength for me. It was called Stay With Me by Jacqueline Carr. Its powerful message of seeking and cherishing divine presence resonated deeply with me, echoing my own longing for spiritual comfort and guidance. The song expresses a deep longing and reliance on spiritual presence, reflecting on the necessity of this presence in times of need and uncertainty. The lyrics convey a sense of vulnerability and a heartfelt plea for continued divine companionship and support. the emotional, the emotional part of the song resonates with themes of faith, dependence, and the comfort found in spiritual connection. As I listened to this song on repeat, its words intertwined with the scriptures that I held close. One verse that remarkably mirrored the essence of the song was Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 6. Be strong and courageous. Do not fear or be in dread of them, for it is the Lord your God who goes with you. He will not leave you or forsake you. This verse was a powerful reminder of God's promise to be with us always, especially in our moments of vulnerability and sorrow. Similarly, Psalms 23, a passage turned to frequently, and I spoke of in the last episode, speaks of God's guidance and companionship even in the darkest valleys. So the words are, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. The song's plea to stay with me felt like an echo of this song, a heartfelt request for the continued presence and comfort of the Lord and through the challenging journey of grief. Stay with me, and these verses became a harmonious blend of faith and music in my life. Each time I felt overwhelmed, the song and the words of the Bible provided a refuge, a reminder that I was not alone in my sorrow. They helped me to channel my emotions into a spiritual journey of healing, drawing strength from the assurance of God's unwavering presence. This combination of music and scripture became a pivotal part of my healing process, guiding me toward a place of peace and acceptance. It reminded me that through faith, we find the strength to endure, to heal, and to emerge with a deeper understanding of life, loss, and the enduring solace that comes from our spiritual beliefs. The combination was a way to help me to navigate the stages of grief while maintaining and even deepening my faith and spiritual well-being. So, here's how it helped me. First, it provided comfort and reassurance. The song, with its plea for divine presence in the scripture verses, offered comfort and reassurance. In the denial or shock stage of grief, these elements reminded me that I'm not alone, reinforcing the idea that God's support is with me, even in the hardest of times. Number two, channeling emotions through faith. During stages of anger and bargaining, my reflection served as a channel for my emotions. It allowed me to express my feelings in a spiritual context, understanding that it is okay to have questions and doubts. That the scriptural verses provide a grounding force, reminding me of God's constant presence and love. Thirdly, offering hope in despair. In the pits of depression, the repetitive listening to a spiritually meaningful song like Stay With Me and reflecting on confident scriptures was a source of hope. They act as reminders of God's promises and His faithfulness, helping to lift my spirits and provided a light in the darkness. Number four, facilitating acceptance and healing. The reflective practice helped in the acceptance stage by providing a sense of peace and understanding. The lyrics of the songs, coupled with the Bible verses, guided me toward accepting the loss while holding on to my faith. They encourage a spiritual perspective on grief where I can start to see my loss as part of a larger plan of God. Fifth, nurturing spiritual growth. This reflective practice nurtures spiritual growth. It allows me to dwell deeper into my faith, understanding grief not just as a journey of loss, but also as an opportunity of spiritual enrichment and a deeper connection with my beliefs. And lastly, number six, creating a legacy of love and faith. As I integrated these spiritual elements into my grief, I also made a legacy of love and faith, drawing on the strength and teaching the teachings my loved one instilled in me. It was a confident realization, helping to maintain a sense of connection with my departed. In summary, it became a powerful tool in navigating the complexities of grief. It helped maintain and even strengthen my spiritual well-being, providing a source of solace, guidance, and hope as I went through the different stages of grief. So this is just my reflective practice. However, incorporating elements like songs and relevant verses from the Bible not only aided in my personal growth through grief, but also may offer a potential pathway for you in coping with your losses. Here's how it may help you. So, number one, it's a universal resonance. Seeking God's presence and comfort and faith is universally resonant. You may find solace in the idea that you are not alone in your sorrow and that there's a higher presence offering comfort and guidance. Number two, it's an emotional outlet. Music and scripture can serve as influential emotional outlets. It may allow you to express and process your grief in a spiritually nurturing environment, which can be incredibly comforting when you struggle to articulate your feelings. Number three, spiritual connection and comfort. For those who draw strength from their faith, following a similar reflective practice can strengthen your spiritual connection, offering a sense of comfort and hope during difficult times. And number four, coping strategy. This approach provides a tangible coping strategy that you can adopt. Listening to meaningful music and reflecting on confident scriptures can become a daily ritual that helps you navigate through the various stages of grief. Number five, shared experiences and community. Sharing your journey can foster a sense of community among those who are grieving. It allows you to see that your feelings are valid and shared, creating a sense of solidarity and mutual support. Number six is inspiration for personal reflection. Engage in your own reflective practices, whether it be through music, scripture, or other means that resonate with your personal beliefs and experiences. And lastly, number seven, promoting healing and growth. Integrating music and scripture into the grieving process can lead to healing and spiritual growth. It provides a roadmap that can guide you toward finding peace and acceptance during your grief. So, in essence, reflective practice not only aids in your personal healing, but also stands as a beacon of hope and guidance for traversing the challenging path of grief. It underscores the power of faith, music, and personal reflection and finding solace and strength in the face of loss. So these are suggestions, but the main point is to find your niche, what helps you, and continue to reflect and practice and it would give you some ease in your pain and of your loss. So now we're on to the actionable steps for navigating the journey of grief, especially in the context of the silent emotions after the farewell. Here are three actionable steps you can that I suggest, and one is create a personal reflection ritual, as some of the suggestions that were given. Establish a daily or weekly ritual dedicated to reflection and remembrance. It could involve listening to a meaningful song, reading a comforting scripture, or spending a few moments in quiet contemplation. Choose a specific time and place for this ritual to help create a sense of sacred space and time for your grief and healing process. Number two, journaling emotions and thoughts. Start a grief journal. Writing can be a therapeutic way, to process emotions and thoughts that arise during the grieving process. Prompt them with questions or themes each week, such as writing about a cherished memory, expressing feelings of loss, or articulating hopes and fears about the future. And number three, engage in community or support groups. Seek out and join a grief support group, either in your local community or online. Sharing experiences and hearing others' stories can be an incredibly validating and comforting. So, moving on to reflection time, where I like to give one motivational quote and one inspirational scripture on the topic. So the first one is a motivational quote by Jandy Nelson, who says, "Grief and love are conjoined. You don't get one without the other." This quote beautifully captures the intertwined or interconnection nature of grief and love, reminding us that our deep sorrow is a testament to our deep love. It can motivate and comfort those in grief by validating their feelings as a natural and profound expression of their love. Okay? Number two, the inspirational scripture comes out of Psalms 147, verse 3. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. This verse speaks directly to the healing process in the midst of grief. It offers comfort by affirming that God is attentive to those who are heartbroken, providing healing and care in their times of pain. This scripture can serve as a powerful reminder of the support and healing available to all of us walking through the valley of grief. So now, as we conclude this episode of the Silent Emotions After the Farewell, I want to express my deepest gratitude for joining me on this journey through the journey of grief. We have explored the multifaceted nature of grief, understanding that it is a deeply personal experience unique to each of us, yet universally felt in the natures of our hearts. We have navigated through the emotional landscape of grief, recognizing its impact not just on our emotions, but also on our physical well being, our thoughts, our behaviors, and even our spiritual beliefs. From the initial shock and denial to the eventual acceptance and personal growth, our exploration has shown that grief, while challenging, is also a path toward deeper understanding and resilience. For caregivers, this journey has its unique nuances, reflecting the deep bond and commitment to those they have cared for. We have seen how the stages of grief can manifest differently, bringing both pain and growth, challenges and insights. As we part ways from this episode, remember that grief is not a journey to be rushed or a process to be judged. It is a path of love, a testament to the extent of our connections. Allow yourself the grace to feel, to heal, and to grow in your own time and way. May you find comfort in your memories, strengthen your faith, and hope in the days to come. Know that in this community, you are never alone. We walk this path together, sharing in sorrows, but also in the healing and love that endures. Thank you for sharing this space with me and for your courage and openness. Until we meet again, take care, stay strong, and remember, in the midst of grief, there is love, and in love, there is healing. Don't forget to comment and let us know what you think, share, or like. Thanks again for listening to Caregivers Chronicle Unveil, the silent emotions after the farewell. I am your host, Doc Steph. Peace and love.